Yes, we are live. And I'm with Phil, and we're getting ready to have a good time. I think here talking about hybrid work, talking about culture. I'm doing this 31 days of culture, which means that I'm going live on weekend. And that, for me, it's 8 a.m. So I just woke up, my grandson was there, he made eggs, and then I was like, Papa's got to run because I got to go on this thing with Phil. So I'm going to turn it over to Phil, let him introduce himself, tell everyone who you are, what you do, why you're so awesome, and how it is that we both ended up with matching glasses today. So, Phil, go ahead.
Thanks, Chris. So I'm Phil Gerbyshak. I am the VP of Growth at a company called Speakerflow. If you go to speakerflow.com, you can learn all about us. But what we do, in a nutshell, is we build systems that help thought leaders stay in their flow in their zone of genius. So marketing, sales, operation systems, all that good stuff. We build those out so that you can run them easily so that they can help scale your revenue up faster. And I live in Westchester, Ohio. I like to say it's halfway between Cincinnati and Dayton. Not exactly, but pretty close, if that gives you a spot where we are. And I just moved from Florida. You might say, why would I move from Florida to Ohio? Well, my wife is an amazing VP of sales. And so she got a great job. They did a nationwide search. And she's the best at what she does. And I don't say that because she's my wife. She's fantastic. And so they picked her. And so in 3 weeks, we packed up all of our stuff and we moved to Westchester. So here we are. And how do we both have great glasses? Well, these have been my trademark for a long time. I like to see things differently. So hence the glasses, right? But they're real and they're fantastic, to steal a line from Terry Hatcher and Seinfeld. 35 different pairs. And these just happen to be my favorite ones because they show up best on video. Speaking hybrid, right? So sometimes I also deliver trainings and keynotes and coaching and stuff like that. When I'm on stage, the white even pops off better. But I used to wear orange glasses. And people would say, well, those are nice red glasses when I was on video. I'm like, no, they're not red. They're orange, man. So white it is. And white are actually easier to find. I can find these prescription on Zenni Optical, sometimes less than $25, which makes me super happy. And Chris, you've got readers. You said you buy 30 pair at a time so that you can just mix it up, right?
Yeah, I like it to be able to have options, right? Based on what I'm wearing. Now, I feel like the white does a pretty good job no matter what you're wearing all the time. So I see why you went with the white. You could probably say I copied you. That'd be okay. But yeah, I do have like lots and lots of pairs, and they're all over the house. I had really bad eyesight for years, and I finally got the surgery, and loved it because this is like an irrational fear, but when your eyesight's so bad, you think, what if like something really bad happened? What if the apocalypse came and I survived, but my glasses didn't survive? I would be dead like in 2 days because I couldn't see anything, right? I'd be walking around squinting and hoping a zombie didn't get me. And that's a totally irrational fear. But I got the surgery and I was like, I can open my eyes. I can see the world. I don't need glasses. But a consequence of getting that surgery is that you often then need readers pretty quickly when they fix that stigmatism, whatever it is. So that was something they didn't tell me, or at least I didn't read the fine print. So suddenly I have readers everywhere. And that's, I guess, just part of getting old. So I don't know.
There you go.
Anyways, thanks so much for being here, buddy. We're going to talk a little bit about hybrid work and culture. And we'll talk about all things culture. And, I'm a big advocate for remote work. I think remote work is great. I don't think remote work is great for everybody. I'm not trying to say that every job and every place and every, part of the world, remote work is the right fit. There are definitely situations where being in person, whether it's all the time or some of the time, makes sense. But man, the mess, the ridiculous thing that is the current state of hybrid work just seems like a cluster, to me. So I'd love to get your thoughts on where you think we currently are with this, sort of the hybrid work. It just sounds like a big giant compromise. I remember a negotiation class. It was like, if everyone's compromising, everyone's losing. You know what I mean? And so what are your thoughts?
Well, first, I think that's right on compromise, right? If everybody's compromising, everybody's losing. But I do think in the state of hybrid work, I do think some jobs are better performed remotely or quietly. I mean, even some of the studies about in-person work shows that these open office structure, this doesn't work. Some people just get distracted. They don't get any real work done. They can't get in a flow state because they get bumped. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, this myth of multitasking that came along for productivity really transferred badly, or well, I guess, correctly, to the work culture, right? So we multitask, but then we multitask people too. I get 3 minutes with Chris here and 6 minutes there, and I never do any deep work. I think that a hybrid is great for that, fully remote, right? But to your point, I think the correct answer is hybrid, not complete work from home, not complete work in person, but work best. Where do people work best? Some people absolutely need the energy of being in person. Extroverted sales professionals, many of which I work with, in fact, I would argue I'm one of them.
Yeah, you and your wife, buddy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we work better often in person, right? We work better in person. But a more introverted sales professional probably works better by themselves, quietly in a, some people call them a telephone booth or a Superman booth, right? That's okay too. But when it comes to culture, right? That's what we're talking about today. Not just work, but we're talking about culture. It has to be intentional. Like what happened, I think, Chris, is COVID hit and we're like, okay, everything that we do in the office, we're just going to do from home. And that's not how this works. That's the biggest miss and the biggest myth, I believe, of culture when it comes to hybrid remote work.
So I have an interesting story. Some of my best salespeople who are the most extroverted actually did better when we went fully remote. And the reason for that was, and it took a bit of us designing a new way for them to work and to live, right? Because to your point, they're so extroverted. They would walk around the office and have conversations with people all day long. And that's not getting them to their sales number, right? That's not getting where they need to be. Now, they do need to have those moments to be around operations people and customer service people and learn things and pick up on things. But they just wanted to talk to anybody. It was like just point them in a direction and they'd start talking. So what we said was, okay, you go home. Now you feel lonely. Get it. You need to start talking to clients more. You need to start talking to potential clients more so that you're getting that bug, right? And then can we create intentional times for you to come back and have more constructive meetings with the team, or a hangout, an official hangout where you can talk to them and learn about what's going on. And then also we had to kind of coach them that you got to have another social outlet in your life that is not work. So, go join this club or go do this thing, but work is no longer the place where you get 50 extra conversations, and we designed it and they were better. I mean, my top guy ended up quadrupling the amount that he could pull in a year over about a 2-year period. He got that much better, right? And it was, and I'm sure if I looked at operations and customer service got better too, because they didn't have him. But let's maybe back up here a second and let's you kind of talked about a couple of good things about hybrid. And so let's be fair and let's talk about what's good with hybrid. And I'll tell you that I think when we allow some flexible work, we can call that hybrid. We've democratized for the average employee the ability to do what their boss has been doing for years. Their boss could stay home and work. Their boss was on a plane. Their boss was going from one facility to the other facility. They were doing hybrid work anyway, right? And now the average person isn't being told, if your butt isn't in that seat every moment, you're not valuable to this company and you're not doing a good job, right? And so to be able to allow them that flexibility to say, my kid's sick today, I'm going to work from home. I can still work. I'm not have to take a day off. I'm still going to work, right? So I think just from that level, that's good. If we allow more flexible work, if we allow people to do that work and maybe we intentionally come back to meet, we intentionally come back to have a sales and ops call or whatever, or does stand up, or we meet once a month or once a week, whatever, at the office to do our meetings in person. Cool. and certainly want to hear what you think is good about hybrid. I think the negative is just this idea that, well, you can work from home, but like, you're going to come in on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, no matter what, or Tuesday, Thursday, no matter what. And people are just like, well, no one's here. And like, why am I, this is just dumb. Right. So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I think the big word there is intention, right? Intention and being intentional is to get more work done. And we set up how that looks and what that looks like and what success looks like. For our team, hybrid is fantastic work because, to your point, it gives the employees what the leaders have already gotten, and that is that flexibility to do what they need. For instance, I have an 8-year-old. At 8:30, my 8-year-old might be sick. Okay. By 11 o'clock, he's not sick anymore. In fact, I would argue by 10 o'clock, he's probably not sick. His immune system is fast, right? But he might stay in bed. He'll stay on his iPad. He'll go watch TV. He's not bugging me. But if it was, I can't send him off to school if he's sick even in the morning. So the fact that I get to sit at home and I can check in on him instead of taking a smoke break in the old days, I get to take a kid break and I get to say, hey, buddy, how you feeling? What do you need? Okay, good. You're good. Or do you need me to make you a quick lunch? Okay, here's a sandwich. Now go lay down, right? Here's some more water. Go lay down. Well, that's awesome. And I can still work. So now I'm feeling more trust from my manager. Now I'm feeling more trust from the leadership group. Now I'm feeling like, well, instead of having to drive an hour each way to go to work, well, now I can be productive. And maybe I can work later tonight. Maybe I can work earlier today or tomorrow, and now I can get this done. So the asynchronousness of work, I think, is a big, big benefit for organizations. Now, again, if you require completely synchronous work, that probably doesn't help you any. But asynchronous work, I think, is a big thing. The second thing is we have collaborative times here. We have collaborative times that we schedule to be present with each other, that we're not just pop up, here we go, let's chat. Now it's Tuesday at 5, we have team day, and we all get together and we pick something and we talk about it. This particular time is set aside for team building. Now, we don't call it team building day, we call it team day. Everybody gets to pick something that they want to do. Maybe that's playing Kahoot. Maybe that's playing Among Us. Maybe that's playing trivia. Maybe that's just everybody go around and share something. But then at the other end of that, we've got intentional meetings for growth. We've got intentional meetings for sales. We've got intentional meetings for operations. We've got intentional meetings for customer experience. We've got intentional meetings for leadership. And those meetings are just right here. And I don't have to worry that 2 of the 3 people that are supposed to be in this meeting, or the 8 people that are supposed to be there, they bumped into each other outside and they lost track of time. And now they're 15 minutes late and we start the meeting late. So I think that's a big benefit as well. And I'll give you one more of that. And that is people can rest more because, again, that no more driving gives them a little bit more rest time. And people need more rest. I'm going to tell you, if you're working with knowledge workers and they're doing a great job and you hired right, well, heck, they should be tired at the end of the day because they use their brain for 8 to 10 hours. So they need a rest. That sometimes means that instead of eating lunch, though, I do this. I take a nap. My head hurts. I can't do that at work, right? That would be, people would look like, dude, am I still sleeping over there in the cube? What's going on? But I can do that at home where I can't do that otherwise. And you might say, well, why don't you just keep working? Well, sharpen the saw, man. Like, let me get better because I know what my body needs. I know what my brain needs. If I'm tired, well, heck, I'm going to go take the dog for a walk for 7 minutes, come back, and I'm going to be rocking and rolling. Conversely, I can't do that in the office. I don't have that. So I think those are 3 of the big benefits, Chris.
Yeah, and sometimes people don't realize that you have to slow down in order to speed up often, right? To slow down, to learn something new, slow down to really get concentrated, slow down not to be multitasking and trying to do 50 things, right? Or just to make a list of what it is I need to do and prioritize that list, right? to make sure I'm getting the most important things done. And do I really know what most important is? Most important to my boss, most important to my career, most important to my family, whatever those things are. But when we just sort of, I feel like so many employees just kind of get into this pace of like, do the next thing that's in front of me, right? Or do the thing that for the person who's screaming the loudest. And that's how they kind of operate. Those that don't tend to get promoted pretty quickly, right? And so, but when you slow down and you really think about it, or you take time to read a book, or you take time to meditate, or take time to, right, you said, go walk the dog. We didn't do this so much at the end before I sold my company, but, early on, we gave everyone either an egg timer or the little Pomodoro timer. And, there's a whole Pomodoro technique out there. And everyone has different versions of it, but we did, hey, run for 45 minutes, right? Set that timer, go hard for 45 minutes, do whatever you need to do. And then, turn that timer on again for 15 minutes, go take a break. Go move the laundry over, walk the dog, whatever. And technically speaking, people were taking more breaks in a day than they were ever before when we were all in one office. And they were all sitting at their desk and pretending to be perfectly productive, right? And then all of a sudden, we got our productivity doubled. And yet people are taking more breaks. How is this possible, right? Because our brains cannot, they can work, it can sprint. I think our brains are really good at sprinting, and I think pretty bad at like running marathons, right? It needs that go hard and then rest, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Cal Newport's book, Deep Work, he talks about, that myth of multitasking and how to get away from that. But the challenge with that is I can't do deep work for 8 hours a day, not in a row anyway. Oh my gosh, like my head's going to explode. I can do deep work for a period of time, right? Your sprint, super important, right? I would say my days are a series of sprints. I push as hard as I can. I'm as intense as I can. I'm also trying to be as consistent as I can be with that, right? So I'm trying to do those things, but I'm also super intentional about taking those breaks. And I think, again, hybrid work, if my culture is set, I want productivity, not FaceTime. If my culture is set that it is important to get good work out, not just check the box work, if that's my culture, well, then taking breaks absolutely makes sense. I mean, just over and over again, that is the way to be successful. People need breaks. Now, I'm not saying take a 3-hour break in the middle of the day, but I'm also not saying don't take a 3-hour break if you're going to work later. I mean, if you're not on, as a sales guy, right, if I don't have any juice, if I'm, well, go away, dude. Like, don't make sales calls. Don't check the box and say, oh, boss, I called 31 prospects today, and none of them wanted to talk to me. I don't know why. I said all the right things. No, come on. I want your best work. If I'm your leader, I want your best work. As the VP of growth, I want my best work. I want my team's best work. I want everybody's best work. I don't want them to just check the box and say, oh yeah, Tuesday at 5, I'm done. Or it's Monday at 8 and I got to start working. Get your juice out there. Now, if something's on your schedule, of course, right? Pay attention to that. But most of the time we can be asynchronous, and the culture, if you do this intentionally, right? Your culture is of results, of working on the process, following the right steps so that you can get the right things. And often where we end up is not where we expected to be. Well, that's often because we're working with people, not robots, and we can't predict that. So, but I think, to that point, create those systems, create those behaviors, create those things, and then offer the flexibility so that people can behave within the culture.
And leaders really need to work with people and talk to people. I think often very early on in this, sort of redesigning that process of whatever your flexible work's going to look like, to undo some of the ways in which we think. I think we sort of have like old ways of thinking. And I've jokingly made the example of like, one day we had horses and one day we had cars. and nobody took the saddle off of the horse and put it in the car and went like, well, this is the right way to do it. This is how we've always done it this way, right? I've always sat on the saddle, so I must be sitting on it in the car. I mean, we realized it was a different way because it was visually obvious to us. But you said something a moment ago about, hey, maybe I'm going to take a 3-hour break in the middle. And that's one right there. That's one that I always challenge my people on to get them to decode is like, listen, you're not taking a 3-hour break. It's not a break if you're going to come back later on and work. You're just not working right now. And so if you're going to not work for 3 hours, that's totally fine. It's not a break. You shouldn't feel guilty. You shouldn't be thinking about work that whole 3 hours. If you're going to take 3 hours, you're off. And I don't want you answering Slack. And I don't want you thinking about work. I want you to be off and doing whatever it is you're supposed to be doing. So when you come back to work, you're focused on work, right? And that's like a big mind shift for them because the whole programming is every moment I'm not, actively doing something because people are so used to being watched at work, right? Or have their manager I go out and walk the cubicle farm, right? And make sure everyone's being productive, that kind of junk. That people feel like they have to be on all the time. And I think that's currently, I could do a whole other talk on this, but I think that's currently contributing to a lot of the burnout and a lot of the overwork and what we're hearing from people right now. And that's because they're working so many hours, but they're thinking about work all the time, right? And when you don't have those now, I mean, James Clear kind of gets into this in Atomic Habits. When you don't have this clear start and stop physical indicator, if you don't have this like, I drove into work, work starts. I drove away from work stops, right? You got to create a new habit, like closing your office door, closing the laptop. Like, how do I indicate to my brain I'm off now, right? Or I'm on now. I don't know. I don't know if you've seen some of those kind of like old behaviors sort of impacting the new kind of work.
Definitely. The phone, right? It was supposed to set us free, not be our leash. And yet it is. I mean, I'm guilty of this. I mean, your point there about breaks are so important because they're not breaks. They're stoppages of work. And I really want to double tap on that because I think it's so important to shift your brain from thinking, oh, I said I would only take a 15-minute break to no, I stopped working for the amount of time that I needed to. And then I came back and I worked even harder. So that's a big one. Some of the other ones, right? The whole, the guilt of going to get a cup of coffee or going to the bathroom. Maybe our younger generation doesn't have this guilt, but I certainly did. When I first started hybrid working, I would get a cup of coffee and literally I had to worry because a coffee break was only 10 minutes. A bathroom break was 5, 15 minutes. I got 2 of those scheduled a day and my lunch was only 30 minutes and that's all I got. Well, you know what? I'm available to work if there's work to be done now from 7 to 7. I'm not working 12 hours. That's a big thing, right? That's a mind shift, though. Just because I can work doesn't mean I am working. And then secondly, in my organization at Speakerflow, we're closed on Fridays. But yesterday, I had someone who needed a meeting with us. Well, that doesn't mean I say, well, screw you, we're not meeting. I'm off on Fridays. No. It means, yep, I'm going to take that hour plus a little bit of prep and a little bit of finish it off, right? Perfection time. So I'm going to take 90 minutes to do this. And now, right, I don't feel bad because another day I won't. Excuse me.
Give you a sec there to sneeze. Did we lose you there? Hopefully his sneeze did not cause a complete breakdown and teardown of the internet system in Ohio. That seems like maybe what happened there. So, wow, well, hopefully it's not me. Well, keep going here, hybrid work, again, I think really can be that, geez, it's a compromise. And we can let people do some of it. And designed really, really well, hybrid work can be great. The problem is it is the hardest system to actually make happen, right? Remote, in person, I think those are much easier to manage, much easier to implement, and certainly the value to employees or the situation, to stakeholders, to ownership is very clear. With hybrid, it just feels it's messy. It's really hard to kind of get right all of the time. So if you're going to go hybrid, some of the things that I often suggest that people think about are, one, making sure that if you're going to do a meeting that's hybrid, right? You have some people in the office, you have some people that are not in the office. Everyone should be on Zoom. Everyone should be on Teams or whatever it is you're using. That way it is the same for everybody, right? We shouldn't have 4 people sitting in a conference room, Zooming in one person, right? And making them feel like, well, they're kind of missing out. If everyone is on that Zoom or Teams, then they feel like everyone's having the same experience. So even though it's kind of hard, because we might want to go to that conference room, we might want to make that happen, it certainly can feel better. So anyways, I think we're just about here at about 30 minutes. I don't know what happened to Phil. His internet may have gone out. Hopefully everything's okay on his end. And we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I really want to thank him for being a part of this Saturday version. We are day 14 of the 31 Days of Culture. Please consider picking up a copy of my book. It is out the end of the month on October 31st. You can pre-order it. You can buy it on the day of, kind of trying to get to the bestseller list again. So if anyone out there is interested in bulk orders, wants to maybe pick up more than one copy, please let me know. Please DM me. I am doing some fun deals, some fun different things if you're interested. So thanks again, Phil. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and we will see you later.